What if we could step into someone's mind, not to steal their ideas, but to plant one instead? This is the central question of Christopher Nolan's Inception. The film begins with the premise of a world where dreams are not just figments of imagination, but terrains that can be navigated, shaped, and even manipulated. Cobb, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is at the heart of this narrative. He's not just a dream thief. He's a man burdened by grief, guilt, and an unrelenting desire to return to his children. But let's talk about the brilliance of Inception's foundation. At its core, it's not just a heist movie. It's a multi-layered exploration of the mind. Nolan doesn't just give us a simple break in, steal, and leave narrative. Instead, he asks, what if you could break into the subconscious? It's an idea so grand and yet so personal because it's rooted in emotion. And here's where the genius lies. Dreams are inherently chaotic and personal, but Nolan gives them structure. He builds rules, the idea of totems, dream layers, kicks, and time dilation. Let's pause for a moment. What is it about Cobb that makes this mission so compelling? It's his humanity. Cobb isn't a perfect hero. He's deeply flawed, haunted by the death of his wife, Mal. Mal's presence throughout the movie isn't just as a memory. She's the embodiment of Cobb's guilt. Nolan takes a universal human emotion, guilt, and amplifies it by giving it physical form in the dreamscape. Cobb's arc starts with grief. His wife's tragic death wasn't just a loss. It was the catalyst that forced him to live in exile, leaving behind his children. This emotional weight is what elevates Inception from a sci-fi thriller to a deeply personal story. Mal, played with haunting intensity by Marion Cotillard, represents the unresolved trauma that Cobb cannot escape. This takes us to Inception's central theme, reality versus illusion. How do we define what's real? For Cobb, it's his children. But even that is complicated by the dream world's influence. This is where the concept of totems comes into play, small objects designed to help the dreamers discern reality from dreams. Cobb's totem, a spinning top, is a constant reminder of his precarious grasp on what's real. And let's not forget the antagonist. No, it's not Mal or the corporate competitors. It's the very nature of Inception itself. Nolan uses the idea of implanting thoughts to question the integrity of human emotion and free will. Think about it. If an idea isn't organically yours, does it truly belong to you? This philosophical question runs parallel to the emotional stakes of the film, creating a tension that's both cerebral and visceral. As Cobb assembles his team, Eames, the charismatic forger, Yusuf, the chemist, Arthur, the meticulous planner, and Ariadne, the young architect, we see the mechanics of Inception begin to take shape. But the challenge here isn't just logistical, it's deeply psychological. Can they plant an idea so seamlessly that the dreamer believes it's their own? The mission they embark on isn't just about corporate espionage, it's about navigating the human psyche. And here's where Nolan's genius shines. He uses the dream-sharing technology not as a gimmick, but as a lens to explore universal human emotions. So, as we dive deeper into this layered narrative, remember, Inception isn't just about breaking into dreams. It's about breaking into the essence of what makes us human, our fears, our desires, and our unshakable connection to reality. Cobb's story in Inception is rooted in his guilt, and it's impossible to understand the film without exploring Mal's presence. Marion Cotillard delivers a haunting performance as Mal, a character who exists as both a memory and a manifestation of Cobb's subconscious. To Cobb, she represents his greatest failure, the choice that led to her death. But for the audience, she serves as a constant reminder of how emotions can distort reality. Mal's character is more than just a figment of Cobb's mind. She's a reflection of how trauma shapes memory. In the dream world, she's manipulative and menacing, sabotaging Cobb's missions and relationships. But this version of Mal isn't the real Mal. It's Cobb's interpretation of her, warped by guilt and grief. Nolan uses Mal to show us how memories can betray us. The deeper Cobb ventures into his subconscious, the more distorted Mal becomes. And here's the brilliance of Nolan's storytelling. Mal's presence isn't limited to the dream world. Her influence seeps into Cobb's reality, affecting his decisions, his relationships, and his ability to distinguish dreams from reality. This duality, between the dream version of Mal and the real one forces us to question the reliability of Cobb's perspective. Can we trust him as a narrator, or is he too lost in his guilt to see the truth? This brings us to one of Inception's most heartbreaking revelations: Cobb and Mal's time in limbo. Limbo is a place where time and reality lose meaning, and it's here that Cobb and Mal spent 50 years together. But what begins as a dreamlike paradise soon turns into a psychological prison. Mal becomes convinced that limbo is their reality, and when they finally escape, she's unable to let go of the belief that they're still dreaming. Cobb's method of breaking them out of limbo, planting the idea in Mal's mind that their world isn't real, becomes the ultimate irony. This act of inception saves them in the short term, but dooms them in the long run. Mal becomes obsessed with the idea that they're still dreaming, leading to her tragic suicide. And here's the kicker: Cobb's guilt isn't just about her death. It's about the role he played in planting that idea. The emotional weight of Mal's death is compounded by the fact that Cobb can never let her go. She's a constant presence in his dreams, sabotaging his missions and reminding him of his failure. And this is where Nolan's use of dreams becomes truly profound. Dreams in Inception aren't just places for adventure, they're battlegrounds for unresolved emotions. But Mal isn't the only manifestation of Cobb's guilt. The spinning top, his totem, becomes a symbol of his inability to move on. Originally Mal's totem, the top now serves as Cobb's anchor to reality. Or does it? The ambiguity of the totem, whether it keeps spinning or falls, mirrors Cobb's uncertainty about his own reality. And this uncertainty is what makes Inception so powerful. Nolan doesn't give us easy answers. Instead, he forces us to grapple with the same questions that haunt Cobb. What is real? What is imagined? And does it even matter? At its core, Inception isn't just a film about heists or dreams. It's a film about grief. Cobb's journey isn't just about reuniting with his children, it's about confronting his guilt and finding a way to let go. But letting go isn't easy, especially when the weight of his past is so deeply tied to the very technology he uses to navigate his missions. The emotional stakes of the film are heightened by Hans Zimmer's iconic score. The music, with its deep, resonant tones, mirrors the layers of Cobb's psyche. In this second act, Nolan masterfully intertwines physics and emotions. The rules of the dream world, time dilation, shared consciousness, and layered realities, become metaphors for the complexity of human emotion. Just as Cobb navigates the layers of the dream, he must also navigate the layers of his own guilt, grief, and redemption. As much as Inception is a story about grief and redemption, it's also a masterclass in world building, particularly when it comes to the science of dreams. Christopher Nolan doesn't just present dreams as chaotic, fantastical landscapes. Instead, he treats them with a meticulous, almost scientific precision. The film asks, what if dreams operated under their own set of rules? And then answers by building a world where physics and emotions collide. One of the most fascinating aspects of Inception is its layered dream structure. Each dream operates within its own timeline, with time dilation increasing as you go deeper. A single second in the real world could stretch into hours or even days in the dream. Nolan takes a concept that feels abstract, our subjective experience of time while dreaming, and gives it tangible stakes. Consider how this impacts the mission. The team must navigate 3 layers of dreams, each with its own challenges, while staying synchronized with the others. If one layer falls apart, the entire mission could collapse. And yet, this isn't just a clever plot device. It's a metaphor for the complexity of the human mind. Our thoughts, emotions, and memories are layered, interconnected, and often messy. The film's visual effects enhance this idea of layered realities. Scenes like the rotating hallway fight or the folding cityscape are more than just cinematic eye candy. They're physical manifestations of the dream world's rules. The hallway fight, for instance, isn't just a thrilling action sequence. It's a demonstration of how the physics of one dream layer impacts another. This interplay between layers is further complicated by the concept of shared dreaming. In Inception, dreams aren't solitary experiences, they're collaborative. Cobb's team isn't just navigating their own subconscious, they're navigating a shared space where everyone's fears, desires, and projections collide. This creates an added layer of tension. The characters must not only deal with their own psychological baggage, but also the collective baggage of the group. Take Ariadne's role, for example. As the architect, she's responsible for designing the dreamscape, ensuring it's both functional and believable. But even her carefully constructed worlds are vulnerable to sabotage. Cobb's subconscious, represented by Mal, frequently disrupts the dream, forcing the team to adapt. This dynamic reflects a universal truth. No matter how much we try to control our environment, our internal struggles always find a way to surface. And this is where Nolan's brilliance as a storyteller shines. He uses the rules of the dream world to explore deeper themes about control and chaos. Dreams in Inception are spaces where anything is possible, but they're also shaped by the dreamer's subconscious. This duality creates tension between freedom and constraint, between order and disorder. But Nolan doesn't stop there. He also uses dreams to explore the concept of identity. In the dream world, characters can adopt different personas, as Eames does when he impersonates others. This ability to shapeshift raises questions about the fluidity of identity. Are we defined by who we are in the waking world, or do our dreams reveal our true selves? The dream world's physics also serve as a metaphor for the fragility of the human mind. Just as the dream collapses when the architect fails, our own mental stability can crumble under stress, guilt, or trauma. This idea is exemplified in limbo, the deepest layer of the dream. Limbo isn't just a place where time stretches infinitely, it's a psychological abyss where characters risk losing themselves. For Cobb, limbo is both a prison and a sanctuary. It's where he and Mal spent 50 years building a life together, but it's also where their relationship began to unravel. The slow passage of time in limbo allowed Cobb to reflect on his guilt and grief, but it also trapped him in a cycle of self-recrimination. This leads us to one of the film's most intriguing questions. What happens when dreams become indistinguishable from reality? Cobb's reliance on his totem, the spinning top, reflects his struggle to separate the two. But the totem itself is an imperfect solution. As Ariadne points out, dreams are so vivid and immersive that even the most rational mind can be fooled. And this brings us back to the film's ending. When Cobb finally reunites with his children, he doesn't check the totem. The top spins, but the camera cuts away before we see if it falls. This ambiguity forces the audience to confront the same question that haunts Cobb. Does it matter if it's real? The brilliance of Inception lies in its ability to blend the scientific and the emotional. Nolan doesn't just use the physics of the dream world as a narrative device, he uses it to deepen the film's themes. Dreams, like emotions, are powerful, unpredictable, and deeply personal. They defy logic, challenge our perceptions, and force us to confront our deepest fears and desires. As the team descends deeper into the dream layers, the stakes become higher, not just in terms of the mission, but also for Cobb's emotional journey. Each layer is a step closer to the truth, a truth that Cobb must face if he ever hopes to find peace. And yet, even as the film explores these heavy themes, it remains grounded in its central question: what is real? In a world where dreams feel as vivid as reality, and where emotions can distort our perception, how do we find our footing? This question isn't just theoretical, it's deeply personal. It forces us to examine our own lives, our own dreams, and our own realities. And that's the genius of Inception. It's not just a film you watch, it's a film you experience, a film that stays with you long after the credits roll. At its heart, Inception isn't just a heist movie or a philosophical exploration of reality, it's an emotional journey about guilt, loss, and redemption.